I'm here. Ha! Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon. Actually, this is the Saturday Chameleon Workshop live here on YouTube. And if you're watching this as replay, just know you could be watching this live and being part of the live studio audience here that is hopping all over the place. Happens every Saturday at 12 noon Pacific. Remember, we have for our friends over in Europe. Leander, we're going to be changing our we're going to be an hour ahead, hour behind, whatever. We're changing the time next week because it's the good old daylight savings thing. So for those of you of our friends over in Europe, just know that things are going to be we're going to be off an hour from what you expect. And many of you, we know Flick was wondering what the heck happened. Well, you guys switched a week before. So that was it. So let's see. Saturday already. Yes, James. Yeah, and I share that disbelief with you. And Robin says, how we doing today? Doing great. Hey, we need to turn on his light. James is here. So you know what? See, today I'm being responsible because people they say, oh my gosh, you're fogging while the light's on. I understand the community discomfort with that. And so there you go. Lights are off. Let's turn on the lights for Spearmint. What's been going on? Oh yeah. That's good stuff. Oh, I love the smell of RO fog in the morning. That's good stuff. Hey, how you doing, Spearmint? He's doing good up there. So, Geraldine says, my power went out. Generator stopped working. Oh, no. That doesn't sound good. Hope you are feeling better. I am feeling better. Feeling great. Everything that was concerning about last weekend has resolved itself. So, geez. It was last weekend was a complete disruption to everything that I've been trying to do. As you know, my podcast was, it actually wasn't a day late. It was only half a day late. And so, yes, actually, I got some slides on here. I did get a podcast out. It didn't come out on YouTube. It is on the regular podcast feed. And I think I probably do. I don't know if I want to continue putting it out on YouTube. Just a crazy thing in YouTube. It's really it seems to be really difficult to put out different format videos on the same channel because it really messes up the algorithm. So let's see. Constantino says, I have no discomfort with lights on fogging. I see in rainforest. Yeah, there is no connection to light and fogging. It's an indirect connection of heat and fogging. And even that, we don't know exactly when it is not good. So, whew. All right, so let's bring up the good old. I've got a little bit of news today, but we're going to talk about the keys to success. As you all know, I thought you fixed all the problems on YouTube, Bill. Oh, Alicia, let me tell you about this Bill character you're talking about. For every problem that I fix, I create like 2 or 3 more. That's just me. So yeah, so for the history, everybody, this channel that you're on right now is the live channel. I had to separate my lives from my regular video channel because those two audiences were just clashing. And I hate to say that separating them has actually benefited both channels. It's crazy, but that's just the way it is. And we're on this platform. And so what I've been doing on the other channel, the Chameleon Academy channel, is I have the regular YouTube videos, like 8 to 12 minutes of hello, everybody. But also I would do podcasts where I'd say, I just give a podcast, a 30-minute podcast, and behind it would just be the Chameleon Cam, which I thought it was cool. And I was surprised at how well it did. But once again, I'm starting to see this conflict between the audiences. So I may not continue to do that on YouTube, but I'd like to continue to do the audio podcasts. Would really prefer the podcast being accessible through the app. Oh, by the way, all of the podcasts are accessible through the app. The app, which app do you mean? Do you mean the Circle app or the? Okay, so there's three apps we could be talking about. Any podcast player will play the podcasts. The Circle app, that's the virtual campus. This time I actually put a link. I embedded the podcast episode in a post there. And so let me know if you guys like that. Let me know. And then there was my Chameleon Academy app. We will talk about that one. But Constantinos, let me know which app were you talking about? Yes, it just started, Miklo. Let me guess, you're in Europe, and we're both going through this daylight saving switch time. We switch next week, so next episode. Actually, we switch tomorrow. So next episode is going to be a 1 hour forward or back. I haven't figured it out yet. Let's see. The Chameleon Academy. All right. So there is news. So first of all, everybody, there is a podcast. Even though it didn't go out on YouTube, it did go out on the RSS feed yesterday. And so you can go. I talked about the challenge of learning about chameleons. And really, it's a high-level look at our community and the different dynamics that are at play in our community, specifically around when a beginner comes to the community and wants to learn about chameleons and what the challenges are. And so that podcast is available, and it's available through your standard podcast apps, Apple Podcast, Spotify, any podcast app. But it's not going to be available on the Chameleon Academy podcast app. For those that don't know, I had a dedicated podcast app for the Chameleon Academy podcast, which was very cool. But here's a problem. The company that was supporting this app has stopped supporting it. They just let me know, nope, we're not going to do it anymore. And so even this app on your phone, if it's on your phone, it's still going to work with the podcasts that have already been released, but no new podcasts are going to be on this app. And it's not available in the store anymore. So it only exists on the phones that it's been downloaded on. Now, let's see. So that is gone. I'm very sad about that, but I'm now working on developing a new app. So we can get that functionality back, because I really liked having an app where people could go and it's just the Chameleon Academy episodes. And so I am working on that, and I may be able to have it up sooner than I expect. So we may not be without an app for long. Konstantinos, I am working hard on making sure that you get that app functionality back. I, of course, will keep you all updated as to what's going on. Let me tell you, just bragging about my involvement in the DIY Chameleon guys. Look at that. Got my DIY Chameleon guys travel cup. Mm-hmm. Colton's coming in. Is going to be joining the Shamrock community. Love it. Hmm. And Robin is sharing something that solves all problems. You need more chameleons. That is the solution. That is the magic answer to everything. They make you feel young. Perfect. Perfect. So, whew. All right, everybody. Today we had a talk about, not today, this week on Wednesday. We talked about the 5 secrets to success with chameleons when you're just starting off. And I am going to be going through those 5, but really, as much as I'm talking about each one of the 5, I would like to hear your feedback. Tell me when we get to each one of these 5 points and a bonus, give me your input. So let's I want to hear from you as to what you think about this. Bill's doing the already. Uh-oh. Oh, what does that mean? I have you guys all know more about my mannerisms than I do. And I don't even know what all this stuff means. So oh, wait. We have a question from the Flip Stud. All right, the Flip Stud. Hey, chat. When going on a week-long vacation, what do you do with your chameleon? I have the water and lights automated, but what about the food? All right. I'm going to let, of course, everybody in the chat go ahead and give what you do over vacation. And I'm going to tell you what I do. But first, Marsha Ann uses the Pocket Cast app. And podcast shows up there. Yes. To be clear, my podcast will still show up in every podcast app. In the Google Podcast, and the Apple Podcast, the Spotify, Overcast, all of the iHeartRadio, and all of those podcast apps. My podcast is still showing up everywhere. The only place that it's down is on the dedicated Chameleon app, which is no longer available. So, oh, great. So let's go back to a week. And yes, everybody in the chat is going to be giving you what they do. I'll tell you what I do. What I do is especially if water and lights are automated, you got most of it taken care of. Now, this is assuming that this is an adult chameleon. With a baby chameleon, you want them to have food every day. So it's a lot more difficult going on vacation with the baby chameleon. With that, I always have a pet sitter or a family member come in and just do a little scoop of crickets, throw it in there. And I make these little cups up ahead of time that have a carrot and a little bit of food in it. And I just have them dump that into the feed or run cup every day. So it's very simple. But and you can do that for adults too. If you have family or friends or pet sitter able to do that. But if you've got an adult chameleon and you're going away for a week, you can get away with feeding remotely. What I do is throughout the week before, I actually go to a everyday feeding. And so I'm feeding them. Actually, did I stop that? I haven't gone on vacation for a while. Okay, no, that was something I was thinking about doing. All right, erase. So what I have done, I'll tell you what I have done, not what I was thinking about doing. What I have done is I get a large feed or run cup. Like, let's see, do I have one? Yeah, like something. Oh, hey. Yeah, that was not cool. Something like this. It's like a pretty large feed or run cup. This is out off of one of those really big vinegar bottles, and I actually put food at the bottom of the feed or run cup. I have some carrots. I have some powder cricket chow, and I put in extra crickets. And just put it in there. And so the chameleon will eat a lot at the beginning. And then at the end, as the crickets don't move or the chameleon runs out of crickets, yes, they will not have anything more to eat. So that's possible that the last days the chameleon will be hungry. Now, if you're talking about an adult, a healthy adult chameleon, I do not recommend going a week without food, but your chameleon is going to be just fine doing that. So the consequences, say we take the worst case scenario and the chameleon does not eat for a week, they'll be very grateful to see you. They will eat heartily when you get back, but it's not a health concern. So anything you do above that is being good to your chameleon, and just is like the cherry on top. So I give them a bunch of food at the beginning and let them make sure that the crickets can eat and be hydrated, and then let them go for a week. So let's see. James says, make sure everyone eats, put some extra feeders in the cup, and let the automation take care of everything else. A week's not that big of a deal. Steve says, give them a nice meal the day before you leave. They will be fine without eating for a week. Janet says, I have a friend come over or stay at my house, feed my chameleons in small zoo. Do you know that people can put out of town for a few days, like 3 or 4 are fine, adults only? Yes. Robin says, they can go a week without food. They're one of mine, they can likely go a month. Yeah, it is actually amazing how much chameleons can take as far as not eating. The thing is, they don't burn a lot of calories just sitting there in the cage. And so it's not, and they're not warm-blooded. They don't burn a lot of calories, and they're not naturally an animal that needs to move to be, we need to move. We need to be healthy. They are more of a sedentary animal. So, yeah, and sometimes I have Parsons right now that don't eat for a week anyways. Yeah, get a Parsons coming up, they won't eat for 6 months. Okay, there we go. Hey, Geraldine's power came back on. Congratulations. So, okay, 5 secrets to success. Let's go through them. First of all, set up your cage first. Oh, this is a fun one. I know we all love to shop for our chameleons. That's what we do. We shop for our chameleons, we buy our chameleons, and then we think about how do we set them up. The key to wonderful success is when you decide to get a chameleon, set up your cage first. And I know sometimes it's hard dumping money into a setup when you don't have a chameleon, but once you have your setup set up, then you can get a chameleon at any time. I mean, there's chameleons available, especially if you're talking about a panther chameleon, all the time. So there is absolutely no fear that you should have about investing in a cage setup before you decide on your particular panther. And these companies that allow you to buy ahead of time, like 2 months ahead of time, that's perfect. That allows you to 2 months to set up your cage before your chameleon's going to come home. But this is, there's so much that happens when you set up a cage that you don't expect. Like the cage comes in and you've got your misting system. Well, how do you mount the misting nozzle to the cage? Did you think about that? A lot of people don't necessarily think about that. They assume that it will go on, but we all know there needs to be a misting wedge for you to do this. And so you may get all the parts and then find out, oh, I need to actually order something else for this to work. So, okay, that takes time. What if something gets damaged in the mail? If you've ever tried to buy a Reptibreeze 48-inch XL, the 48-inch cage, you know you're likely going to be sending that thing back a couple of times before you get one that is not mangled, because they are sent from the factory in retail packaging. not shipping packaging, retail packaging. This thing is so thin and it's not designed to go through the mail. But this company produces these cages so cheaply that it's actually more profitable for companies to just accept that they're going to be damaged than it is for them to add on an overpack box. They'd rather take the return than invest in actual shipping packaging. So you've got to prepare for the fact that you may have to reorder some of this stuff. I mean, even my Dragon Strand cages, they are the shipping and the stack up to survive the shipping is an engineering feat on its own. I have focused on packaging. My guys, not me, have focused on packaging. The dimensions of the cages are set up so it's one solid brick that comes in, and it's like a 250-pound box over it. And even then, FedEx finds a way to use it as a ladder and break it. And so you need to account for time just in case you need replacements for anything or there's something you forgot, etc. So that all comes into putting together your cage ahead of time, getting the plants in there, getting your systems set up, your hydration, your lighting, and all the timing, and working out all the bugs. So this is one way that you can really, really increase the satisfaction and happiness that you have when you're getting your first chameleon. I love to panic set up. Done that a few times. Yeah, I bet you do. Set up your cage with a James Cross special tray. Oh, you know what? We're going to be talking about the James Cross special tray when we get to the, I think, what is it? Number 3? Yeah, we'll be getting to that one. My answers to all 5 will involve James. Wow, James, you are the universal solution. How'd you do that? How'd you do that? Janet loves to set up enclosures. Favorite thing to do. There have been times of procrastinating. Yes. It's amazing how good shipping companies are at damaging packages. Oh my goodness. There was one time that one of my cages was delivered and it literally looked like a candy cane. How in the world they did? They must have driven over it. And I tell you, the shipping companies, they will not accept any responsibility for the damage that they do. They always say, well, your box should have been better. It's like, I can't ship this in a titanium box. But yeah, shipping companies are really, when it works, it works. When it doesn't, they don't want to take responsibility. So there's James, just being a good human, Bill. I tell you. All right, the second one I have is to find an exotics vet. So many people, they wait until there's a problem to find an exotics vet. And those of you who have tried to find an exotics vet, you know how hard it really is. You cannot just type in veterinarian and find the closest veterinarian because they probably won't see chameleons unless you get really lucky. Unless you're living next door to Dr. Greek here or Dr. Rob Koch in San Antonio, Texas. It's very difficult to find an vet that number one will see reptiles and number two has any experience with chameleons. So it is worth it finding that vet before you need that vet. And it doesn't hurt to go in for a wellness visit. I know we often don't do that, but if this is your first chameleon, going in for a wellness visit has all sorts of value because the vet gets to record a baseline. And with chameleons, so much of the diagnosis as to what's wrong is a comparison as to what the chameleon looked like when it was healthy. So this just brings your vet in on the ground floor. Yes, we have two vets here. No, oh, what? So what? Janet gets two vets? What the heck? That's not fair. Next, get captive bred. Now, I can't imagine that there's anybody here that doesn't know this one, but captive bred is 100% the way to go. Anyone here, and many people who have been dealing with wild caught chameleons, know there is an overhead that comes along with quarantine and them getting used to captivity, acclimation, and they're not the captive bred have been raised with humans, and they know what a cage is, and they're comfortable in their cage. You know, as long as you got a great cage. But this is the difference is night and day for your experience. And when you're doing this for the first time, don't take on more than you need to. Don't take on wild caught acclimation and parasites. Now, captive bred can have parasites. Those of us in the parasite course have discovered this, but they're not going to be, they shouldn't be as rampant as they are in the wild caughts. So just if anybody is here for the first time or watching this on replay, captive bred is the way to go. Don't get tempted by the wild caughts you see at the show or the pet store. The one I know, they're impressive. They've got these big horns. They've got the colors. They're just very impressive, especially when you look at a baby panther chameleon's little brown thing. But it's a huge difference. Don't worry, that little brown thing is going to grow up into something completely beautiful, and you will be impressed. You will not be disappointed. This here is a female panther chameleon that I hatched out. Absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. So beautiful. So beautiful. And there is a male panther that I hatched out. See, they grow up and look awesome. And yes, we will be having some captive bred and born, our hatched bifidus, James Cross. We are waiting for him to have his female lay eggs because he has had a successful mating. I buy a bit of wild caught. Here's the problem. This is Renee, who has experience. You have no freaking idea what you're getting. This is exactly correct. And the whole thing about the chameleons just dropping dead, and you have no idea why they were doing great and dropping dead, that happens with wild caughts because there's occasionally, sometimes, organ damage that happens either because of the importation or whatever. And so you don't know exactly what's going on. Now, the same can happen with a captive hatch, but the chances of it happening are so much less. Yeah. Don't know how old, how sick, how hydrated. They die easily. They aren't accustomed to the climates. A lot of things. So if you're on the edge, you're tempted by the wild caught, just don't do it. Just don't do it. Leave it for the breeders, leave it for the experienced people. And me, I keep saying, I am among the most experienced, and I will wait 6 months and I will pay extra for a captive hatched. Right now, I have I'm working with wild caught shamrock chameleons because we don't have captive hatch, and I'm working to provide captive hatch. But we're talking about other chameleons. Oh, I would love to start with captive hatch. I do not go for the cheapest just because I can do it. Because of my experience, I don't want to do it. I want to have the perfect baby who grows up spoiled. So I encourage all of you, don't take on this adventure unless you have to. Robin says someone needs to hatch out some green giants so we have some captive boar. Well, yes, exactly. Exactly. And next, buy on quality. So, here we'll talk. When we're doing chameleons, so much of our experience and how well it's going to go depends on if we've set them up correctly. And this is where we have this. Well, at what point am I spending more money than I have to? And at what point am I finding a good deal? The more you know about what you need, the more you're going to be able to make that decision. I can tell you with cages, like my Dragon Strand cages are on the expensive side. People look at that and say, why should I get that? And they get a Rectibreeze. But then they're adding on the hydration mounts. They're figuring out how to mount all the branches. They're figuring out how to do the drainage. And there's all of this stuff that piles on afterwards. And you decide what you want to do and how valuable your time is. But the thing is, you don't have to spend. There's very few cases that I've noticed in the chameleon world between equipment, especially in equipment, where the adage you get what you pay for is not true. I have not seen any equipment offerings in the chameleon world where I say, yeah, okay, that's just a brand name and that's just overpriced for what it is. It just doesn't exist. Now, I know people look at the prices and they say, oh my gosh, that's so expensive. That's more expensive than it needs to be. They don't know what they're talking about. I mean, you really, until you actually build a product, you don't realize how much it costs. And when you're comparing that to a Rectibreeze, a mass produced in China cage, you just don't understand what it really costs to make a product. But there is in the chameleons, I've noticed there's a wide range of prices, and there is a premium if you want your burples in these designer hybrids. Then yeah, there's a premium for that. If you want an adult chameleon, yeah, you're going to be paying more. But I want to say buying quality means checking into that breeder and making sure that that chameleon is getting the best husbandry. That's worth it. I know when you look at a chameleon, the $100 chameleon, that's probably a low-cal mix, was raised in a group, may look similar to the chameleon that was individually raised and given enrichment. But now, something, what's gone on inside the chameleon is something you can't see from the outside. And so that is where the research comes in. So you buy the quality husbandry. Yay, Dragon Strand James trays are worth every single penny and more. And yeah, I got to say this. Let's talk about, because we've been talking about James a little bit, haven't we? So you see this cage I've got back there. This is an example of quality. So there's the crosscut bioactive stand, the one that James makes. So it doesn't look like much. It looks like a box, right? A box over a bucket. What's so big about that? Yeah, well, have you ever tried to make a box over a bucket? And it is a deceptively complex and expensive thing to do if you want to do it right. So this is a case where even though it looks like a box, the function that it gives of drainage, holding substrate, and actually it being a stand, all of these things are like the foundation of your cage. And so even though it's expensive, it's a lot better than some of the other cheaper alternatives out there that don't do the job as well. This is an example of quality. Doesn't mean you have to do it. It doesn't mean that if you don't spend the money to do it like this, you're abusing your chameleon. But this is an example of where the more you when you invest in your chameleon, life gets a whole lot better. So just throwing that out there. So we always talk about James. You get talked about a lot. Hey, there's Dean. Great big fan of Dragon Strand. Oh, thank you, Dean. And Richard says quality PVC, not any regular. Yes, Richard's absolutely correct. When you look at these things, this is quality, strong PVC, and it's not like the cheap stuff. See, this is the thing. When you got the cheap stuff, like the overseas, they are designed to be as inexpensive as possible, which means cheap, and they're designed to be the minimum, just enough until so you're not returning them. That is what the mass production does. That is the whole point of the mass production, is to figure out how to shave pennies off of it. I mean, I look at the Reptibreeze design. It's a very good design, and over the years they work on shaving pennies off. So their business model is get the cheapest cage and figure out how to shave pennies off, because they're doing it at such a large volume. Dragonstrand, on the other hand, I have been adding features and making it more expensive because of that. So every couple of years, you get an added feature. And in fact, if you've been buying the tall hybrids, nowadays there's another added feature that I've just added in for the door, which I really like. And so I am constantly, their model is to get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. My model is to put more and more door. I've just changed the door to make it much more structurally sound. Love it. And it wasn't that long ago, like last year, I added in the fogger input. And I've changed the fogger input so it accepts those Amazon foggers as well as the Exoterra fogger. So all of these things, I add in value. ZoomEd is working on pulling cost out. Now, I want to be really clear. This is not saying one is better than the other. They're just different. What are you looking for? Our community has grown off of the fact that there are cheap cages. So we need the ZoomEd Reptibreeze out there. I am not poo-pooing that cage whatsoever. Our community is kind of built on that cage and continues to be. That's how people come in. So it's not that one is wrong or one is better. It's just, what do you want? And when you start off, go ahead and start off with the cheap cage until get your feet under you and you understand what you want. But also there's a real need for the Dragonstrand cage, because do you want a cage that has the drainage included, the protection from the spray going through the back, the hydration, the mister mounts included, the fogger included, two different floors, so the solid floor or the screen floor, depending upon how much drainage you want, the dragon ledges that allow you to make these floating garden styles. So there's a place for both of these cages, but when you're starting off, go ahead, go for the cheap thing. You get your feet under you, and then you realize, oh, okay, that's why Dragonstrand is a good product. Mike says, however, I don't own a Dragonstrand enclosure, but I have built plenty of my own enclosures. The prices are extremely fair when it comes to time involved, tools involved, and they are built in. Yes, and that's it. I absolutely. I have so many people who claim that I am gouging the community. Oh, I wish I was making fistfuls of money off of this. I wish that were the case, but it is amazingly expensive to build these kind of things, especially if you want to do it with quality and you're not doing it mass market. So I make tens of cages a month, not hundreds of thousands. So, great points, Bill. The frustration and resourcing all the yeah. So, Richard says I have both Dragon Strand and the Reptar Breeze, and I'm pretty stoked with the ledges and bottom tray. Good. Glad to hear that. So, see, making sure customers are happy and giving them the best I can do. Yeah, comes out of our end. But look at these comments. This is why we do it. Yeah. And the advantage of like having me and James here doing this, and then you've got Dean who's here doing this with feeders. When you have people, and you've got Marcia Ann making the feeder run cups, we've got this community. And these are people who are in the community, who care about this community, who want to give the best for this community. And that is just such a huge benefit. It's unfortunate people think, okay, I'm going to go to Amazon and I'm going to get this cheap equipment. I'm so clever. Guys, sending money to some company that doesn't care about reptiles, I mean, I would encourage you to look at the people who are doing it within the community and have your money go to those people, because I can guarantee you those people are going to put money back into the reptile community. And so that is going to strengthen our community. You send the money overseas to China, they're not putting money back into the community. They're only taking money out. So if you're to the point in your reptile journey, your chameleon journey, where you're starting to think about us as a community instead of just, okay, how much did I spend? Then supporting the people in the community and getting those products that were built and designed specifically for us becomes more than just a product. It strengthens our community. And that helps us all, because a strong community, helps us maintain the community, literally, because the money that's within this community is money that goes to USARC. And I can guarantee you those China companies are not supporting USARC. We are, because we want our ability to keep reptiles protected. From side says, bottom line is this: the best key to success is this community. Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. There it is. And by the way, everybody, my goodness, I have for 10, 12 years, I have wanted a stand for my Dragon Strands that I could be proud of. I finally have it. I am so happy with these crosscut stands. So yeah, if we're talking about get your hoppers from Dean, that's the Dragon Hoppers, dragonhoppers.com. There he is. And dragonhoppers.com, that's where you're going to find your grasshoppers. And the thing about that, you see, this is an example. You think about what Dean is doing. He is creating, breeding insects that are more like the natural diet of our chameleons. It takes a lot of skill and a lot more cost to raise grasshoppers than crickets. So you're going to find the mass market companies are raising crickets and dubia roaches, and someone like Dean, who's got a real passion for this community, he's working on grasshoppers, and I know he's got a lot of other diurnal species that are better for our chameleons. And so this is what happens when we support people within the community. We get better stuff because the people who are doing it love what they're doing and they want to do it better and they want to give a better product. I think that's the important thing. Is your motivation to make it cheaper or better? And both are valid and good business decisions, but mass market, they want to make it cheaper. Within the community, they want to make it better. Let's see. Dean's definitely been a savior when it comes to feeders for me. Can't tell you how awesome grasshopper. They are awesome. It is amazing how the chameleons respond to grasshoppers. Oh. All right, and this is the fifth secret to success: is to find your community, and we have the community here. You all have found your community. You're building an awesome community. So, yeah, people on the replay, watching the replay, you got to come to a live session and hang out with us in the chat. We got people. We got so many people talking. This community just kind of coalesces twice a week. This community is you can see a number of people on the virtual campus every day, but outside of these live sessions, this community doesn't exist anywhere. All of this combination of people do not exist anywhere else on social media or the internet. And so this is very, very cool. Does anyone have allergies related to finger insects? I think I've developed an allergy to dubia roaches. I've heard about the allergy to dubia roaches. There is something in the dander or something of the roaches that causes allergies. So, yeah, I've heard about that. I've not experienced that, but I haven't really done a lot with dubia roaches. I have one bin, but I don't spend much time in it. And so these are just pictures of our meetup in Utah at Clint's Reptile Room this year. And we are starting to look at the meetup for next year. So yes, we are looking at a meetup next year, an in-person meetup. Right now, we are considering going to the Reptarium, but we still got to work out some details on that. What? Nate, is this your birthday? Where are you? Are you here? Oh my gosh, he's off. He's probably off doing some birthday thing. He's usually here. Thank you for the reminder, Mike. We're gonna have to send that guy some birthday wishes. There we go. There we go. All right. Yes, it's Nate's birthday. Hey. Give me some feedback on what you all want. Yes, Eliza Ann is our official social coordinator. She is the one who is heading up the putting together our meetup next year. And so let's give feedback. Let's give feedback. He's not here. He's doing birthday fun. All right, we're going to catch him later. There we go. That's all of us. In Madagascar, there's James in front. Annabelle's behind James. Those are the people who usually come to the chat. There we go. And so, yes, I had to throw a bonus here for those of you who are starting off with chameleons. If you can, you get a UVB meter. I tell you, as this allows you to measure how much UVB is coming off of your UVB lights. And sometimes that's a surprise, and sometimes it's not a good surprise. And so this tells you exactly what it is, because you can't see UVB. The light coming off of a UVB light is just side effect stuff. That's not the UVB. That's just the other light. And it's not what you're looking for. So you've got to measure it to know if there's UVB light coming off of those lights. And if you don't have that, you've got to go. I mean, I know I put together these care guides, and I have this graph that I've put together that says, okay, this particular light in this fixture, this far away from this particular screen, and then your perching branch is this far away from the screen. And it's like, you got to measure everything out and hope that your light is at the right, giving off the right UVB. Sometimes these lights don't give off UVB. So there's a lot that goes into it, and all of that is wiped off the table and is completely irrelevant if you've got a UVB meter. You just go up and you just take your reading and you know exactly what it is. And you don't have to measure, get your ruler out for anything. Let's see. Oh, we've got a question. Let's see. Coffee with James is a must. Oh, we'll have to figure out how we're going to do that. But yeah, we'll look into doing that. Let's see. Alicia said she's getting down for a get together. And my chameleon keeps munching on pothos plants. Could I be underfeeding her? No. Chameleons, like a veiled chameleon, will munch on a pothos, having nothing to do with hydration or feeding. The best hypothesis that I've heard is that they do it for roughage, and that makes sense because they're not getting any nutrients out of it. They're not getting enough hydration to make it worth it. So I think I would be willing to believe that they were doing it for roughage. It has nothing to do with how much they're eating or whether they're eating enough or not. They're not doing it because they're hungry. They may be doing it just as instinct to provide roughage. So they can, the story goes, and this is from Peter Nachas, who is in Yemen, says he saw a lot of caterpillars. And so there's not a lot of roughage with caterpillars. You eat a lot of caterpillars, and it makes sense that you want to eat roughage so it all goes down through the digestive tract. So that's the idea. Richard says, make sure to get the solar meter 6.5 and not the 6.2. Yes, this is correct. Both the 6.5 and the 6.2 measure what we're looking for, but the 6.5 measures it in the units of UV index. The 6.2 measures it in the index of microwatts per centimeter squared, which you can use. It's just nobody does anymore. Back in the 2000s, 90s, 2000s, we were using the 6.2, and the scientific journals and papers were in microwatts per square centimeter. Now we've changed, everybody's changed over to UV index. And so get the 6.5. Very good point. Thank you, James. I'm sorry, Richard. Yes. Lisa says, I'm having a moment here, but this is live and not a replay, right? Sorry, Lisa, you've missed it. This is a replay. I tell you, just getting the times mixed up again. What? Don't tell her that. Oh, man. Okay. All right. Yeah, Lisa. It's live. It's live. Geraldine says, for anyone who doesn't have a UVB meter, please purchase one before purchasing another reptile. If you can afford a new reptile, you can probably afford a UVB meter. Geraldine does not mince words, and she is correct. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. So, Victor, is Victor here? Oh, Flick! Hey, you're there. Hey, good to see you. Good to see you. Woo. All right. Let's see. Is that just as next week, we're going to talk about the understand topic, thriving with chameleons. This is once you've got the basics under your belt. You're feeling comfortable with the your husbandry, so you're not worried about your chameleon dying, and now you're able to look at what else there is to do in the community to enrich yourself, to personally grow in this chameleon art, on this chameleon journey. And so that's what we're going to be talking about next week. And we will have a video on Wednesday morning, and the podcast. I'm hoping it'll be available on Friday. I'm really behind because of all the hijinks that went on last weekend. But the podcasts are going to start to get off of the weekly track, and they're going to be going off on their own branch, because I want to do another episode on the learning aspect of chameleons, and so they're just going to go on their independent way. But if you're a podcast listener, that's okay. It's not going to bother you at all, and you're just going to have more to listen to. So, woo-hoo. Am I doing woo again? Am I doing woos again? Freaking A. I got people. These people know me way too well. All right. All right. Well, everybody, we are coming to the end of this session today. Please give me some feedback as to what you think about the journey, this chameleon journey. We're doing a series of a number of videos. Learn, understand, pass it on. And we are now officially in the final sprint towards the 6-hour live session on Saturday, December 6th. And I am working on getting some guests for that. I am working on getting some giveaways for that. We've got lots of fun giveaway stuff. I've got some stuff from Madagascar. And so we're going to have a whole lot of fun. That is the time that you're supposed to spend the entire day in your pajamas, especially if you have chameleon pajamas. Put this on the big screen TV, sit back, and we are all going to hang out for 6 hours. That's always a fun. I always love that day. It's supposed to be the season finale, but that was when I did, I wasn't doing YouTube videos, so I'm not sure what it actually represents, but this is going to be an important one because it's the 10th anniversary. And so we're going to be doing a lot of looking back as to what we've done, what the community has done over the last 10 years. It's been pretty impressive. Janet says, I love the journey we're all taking, where everyone is in their own journey and heading. Yeah. And this is, it's a personal journey for us all. We're all somewhere on this path and we're hanging out together. So it's going to be a lot of No, there's going to be a lot of adrenaline on that day. A lot of adrenaline. Woo! No woos. So, all right. Well, I'm not going to cut off. I've got 2 more minutes. And so I know what happens when I cut off early. I end up having to do, like, if I cut off now, I'd have to make sure I went over 6 minutes the next time, because that's what my community does to me. So I'm going to show off my mug. Now, let's see. Oh, news. Squishy went outside. Squishy was starting to outgrow his cage. So he's growing and he's outside. And we're going to I'm going to start seeing some colors come in on Squishy. And so I'm going to be able to show you some growth. It's kind of, I had to tell you, I'm having some interesting results with these chameleons that have been raised back here, and interesting colors. Now, oh, by the way, I'm going to be starting to offer some panther chameleon for pets. I don't know what their genetics are, but I've got some beautiful, the females are beautiful. The males are interesting. I think they're Nosy Bay, but I'm going to be starting to sell them off at pet rates, meaning just enough to cover some expenses. And so if you're interested in a pet chameleon without ideas of breeding, then let me know. I'm going to start to figure out how to pull that all together. They're starting to get to the point where I want to start. They're able to go to a new home. And no, I don't want to keep yet another clutch here. I need to, this is my personal growth, being able to actually sell chameleons. That's my personal growth, because I'm very bad at it. And that just means I end up keeping them. And I love keeping them, but all about personal growth. So if you're interested in some baby pet chameleons that I've been raising up back there, let me know. I believe that they're Nosy Bay. They're captive hatched. Believe that they're Nosy Bay. but these aren't for breeding. I don't know. What happened to the mushroom cup? Oh, I was going to do the mushroom cup, except I saw this and I said, you know what? I'm going to do this cup instead. Oh. Bill's afraid to end early. That's right. That's right. We had a horrible week. Go with no cause. Yeah, you say that, but the mob is intimidating. Yay for Squishy. Say, James says, took your advice, Bill, and the Bifidus are outside. Yeah, they'll like that. Is there a merch store? There is a merch store. Oh, I didn't. Yes. Maybe I'll go ahead and put a link to the merch store in the. Let's see if I get this. Boom, baby. So got link address. Here we go. If you guys are interested in a merch store, link is in the comments down there. So, Bill, I will trade a veiled for a panther. Janet, that is not helping me. I love veiled chameleons, but no, I cannot do that. I cannot do that. Oh, I can't. I need to decrease. Yes. Is he on the website? Oh, okay. Yeah, the merch store is on the website, and I put the link down there. The Panther chameleons are not on the website. Not sure what you. Lisa says, hopefully the psych ward lets me tune in because I'm so discombobulated. I may need to check myself in. Oh, no. Well, you know what? You are exactly where you need to be. This is live, and you are here with us where you should be on a Saturday afternoon. So, but everybody remember, next week we have daylight savings, and so everything is going to shift. I know that's not so bad for people in the United States because everybody's clocks now change automatically. If you remember how this daylight savings time happened before we all had synchronized clocks, oh, it was chaos. People were showing up everywhere late. But now the only problem is if you're in a different country that has different when you've switched times differently. So, all right, everybody, have a great weekend. I will see you Tuesday night. So be excellent to each other. And I'll see you later.